What's up, y'all? This is Christian Bryant. I am the host of In the Loop on Newsy, and this is how to reinvent the TV anchor. I think we still need TV anchors to help navigate people through some of the stories that we feature on our show and some of the stories that we see in a lot of other TV news programs. Sometimes it's very helpful to have somebody to kind of hold your hand and walk you through a lot of these topics, whether they be, things that are really fun, and more importantly, things that are really heavy, with a very different tone. It's important to have a navigator there to bring you through in the journey. In my opinion, what doesn't work about the old model and the older, more traditional style, at least for me, is the connection with the audience. I can't converse with the audience, but I want to try to make things conversational. I want to speak with the audience instead of talking at them. And I think that's kind of what I took away from some of the older, more traditional styles of anchoring. Another thing that really doesn't work for me is code switching. I feel like so many of us do this in professional settings, but especially as a young Black guy who is in this very front-facing role, I've been trying to make sure that I'm bringing myself to this job and this role, and actually, really giving our audience a sense of authenticity. It's the same kind of program that I would want to watch. I think there are a lot of things that do still work. The traditional TV news anchor is a wonderful navigator in kind of bringing people through the ebbs and flows of a TV news program. But I think there's always room for improvement, and I'm hoping that what it is that I'm doing with In the Loop and what it is that a lot of other people are doing, the people who are my influences and the people who I like watching, I'm hoping that that's a way to resonate with audience and really bring maybe a bit of a more casual, more conversational style to the TV news anchor role. I always joke that In the Loop is the dive bar of news shows. And what do you get at a dive bar? You get people who are sitting at the bar with you, just chatting you up about something, odd or an observation. And that's kind of what I want people to feel when they're watching a show like In the Loop. It's important to bring your whole self into anchoring a show because you want to be authentic and you want to be able to allow the audience to connect with you and to engage with you. And I think that in the way that maybe I did things in the past, I wasn't exactly being my whole self. I was trying to be somebody else, maybe somebody from the 60s. I looked like I had my dad's sport coat on, right? That's for starters, right? Anybody who sees me out and about is going to say, that's not quite how he was when he was on my television. I've been in search of this thing, right? And it's this ability to take my professional life and take my personal life, the Venn diagram of those two things, and make it a perfect circle, right? Because I think that really allows for people to connect with us and connect to the work that we are doing. And I guess more personally, like you don't really want to hold things back. This role is not about telling people all of my opinions and things of the like, but I think it's helpful to be in a space and to present yourself in such a way that people are getting to know you. People are getting to know who you are, and I think that's what allows the actual work to be much easier. That's what allows the dissemination of information and the walking on this journey from topic to topic to be a much easier thing to do. There isn't always a need for a desk, and we've seen that in a lot of more contemporary styles of television news programs. I'm thinking of NBCLX, a deskless set. One of my good friends hosts a show called On the Block in Chicago, deskless. What you see with Vice, it's deskless, right? I think that, for us, it works because this is a very, minimalist style show. And a lot of times the desk does have some utility, this is where my mug is. Sometimes I'll have papers here. Sometimes you want to put something actually on the desk, and there is some utility here. But ultimately, I don't think that the desk is necessary for effective anchoring and storytelling. It really depends on style. I think that a lot of times when you have that loose camera movement and people are standing and moving around, I think that's pretty fun and that's pretty engaging. And it ultimately shows me that you don't always need a desk to be effective. And it all goes back to being reflective of the style of show that you're producing. And if you don't need a desk, get rid of it. Just toss it out. I'm not sure I'm in a position to tell people exactly what it is that they should be wearing, but what I will say is that when it comes to clothes, I think this is another thing that really comes down to style and preference and the kind of show you're producing. I think that the style of dress should be a bit reflective of the kind of tone and style of the show you're producing. You probably won't see me in a suit at any point in time, except for our New Year's specials, because I do like getting dressed up every once in a while. But this is reflective of the show we want to produce. It's a casual show. It's laid back. And honestly, this is also what I wear outside of work. This is like my actual wardrobe. If you saw me hanging out anytime away from the desk, this is probably the exact same thing I'd be wearing. A successful anchor needs writing that is conversational. We've seen writing that's a bit stiff and robotic, and I feel like that is reflected in how a lot of more traditional anchors have really done their job from the desk. Conversational writing is something that I gravitate toward, and something that I think is very effective. Reason being, I think that this goes back to being engaging and being authentic with your audience. No shade to the New York Times, but if you're reading like a Times article, I think folks might think that's just a bit strange, because that's not exactly how we talk to each other. If you have a great producer, that's another thing that's going to be absolutely wonderful, because a lot of times you're not doing your own writing. And when producers are in charge of putting a lot of the show script together, you want to make sure that what it is that you're getting, what it is that you're reading, are things that would kind of be in your voice. I think the most effective anchors and the people who I love watching are people who are conversational, who take time to really connect with the audience. And a lot of that stems from either their own writing or their own editing of scripts. And a lot of times, like having really good producers on deck to really, kind of put your voice down on paper so that comes through in the presentation. I know, having come from local news, I know what sort of demands there are, and I know how difficult it can be to, produce that sort of writing, with those time constraints and within those parameters. And maybe it comes down to a conversation with you and your higher up, saying like, okay, I want to make sure that this writing isn't stiff all the way through the show that I'm working on. So can I take the time to edit it? Can I talk to my producer and see if we can really kind of punch things up? One of the things that I think really makes for valuable news storytelling and for valuable show producing is having a person, who is anchoring the show, who is conversational and who's engaging. And that comes down to the writing. And who all is helping out with that writing. I think a supportive environment is crucial to reimagining or reinventing the anchoring role, because truly, that's where you get creativity. That's where you get innovation. I have been with Newsy for 10, 11 years. One of the reasons why I've stayed at this company is because of how supportive people have been, because of how encouraging people have been when it comes to trying new things. If you're in a place where you don't feel like you can be yourself, where you don't feel like you can try new things, where you don't feel like you can bring your whole self to the work that you're doing, then you don't get that bit of innovation. You don't get that bit of creativity. I think having, much like, other aspects of our lives, having a supportive environment is not only valuable, but it's crucial to us being, the best versions of ourselves. And it's not just in our personal lives, it's also our professional lives. And I think that, that's one of the things that has helped me to really feel like I had agency and the ability to try some new things. I'm grateful for the people who I've been working with over the years, and who've really kind of, pushed me in a way and allowed me to try some new things, take some swings. It hasn't always been pretty. It's gotten a little ugly from time to time, but we have been building on all the things that I've learned over the years, all the things that my colleagues have learned over the years, and that doesn't happen without a supportive environment. I don't want to overstep my boundaries, because I'm not here to tell anybody, how they should do their jobs, or how best to do, their jobs in whatever market they're in, whatever city they're in, whatever newsroom they're working in. But I do have some things that I feel like have been really important to me. And one of the biggest things is, I feel like I've improved my anchoring when I've improved my writing. When my writing has been conversational, when I've actually looked over the things that I've written instead of going into a show cold, those things have allowed me to improve my anchoring. The second thing is my, relationships with my producers. The people who help put this show together are probably the most valuable part of producing in the loop. And one of the things that a lot of them do is a ton of writing. I think that my anchoring has been improved when I've collaborated with producers about how to script a show, about how we're approaching different topics, and so on and so forth. I think that you can do your best work when you're in a place that's supportive, and you don't need to feel like you have to work your way up the rungs of some imaginary ladder to get to a place where you can be yourself and you can do what you need to do. Nobody needs to be in, let's say, an abusive or an unsupportive environment to get to where they need to be. It can happen right now. You could do that right now. Those are things that I feel like have been, most helpful and most valuable to me when it comes to doing my work, when it comes to anchoring the show, and when it just comes to being a good person.